had 4 groups, 1 individual, 3 in the group, 3 some majority of you are in 4 and some of you are in 5. So can you please tell us the factors why was that? What could be the best example? What led you to be in 4, 3, 2, 1, 5? It's not correct or it's not incorrect. It can be anywhere. As I said, yes?
I considered 10 years ago, I considered myself step 3.
Uh-huh.
I had limited powers and I had my freedom to make decisions was based on the fact that I was taking care of 3 children. Therefore, my liberty to make decisions was based upon how I was going to be able to take care of my children.
Okay. So raising children was your priority?
Yes.
To make that decision and a choice. And so it was limited, the freedom of mobility, that was limited, right? The constraint was economic, could be independence, everything comes. And today, yes, 10 years ago, any 3? Anyone? Lots of people, I saw it in 3 also. Martha, yeah.
In step 1, I never made a decision at all. Reason being, I was still young and under my parents' direction. And then I did not attend education.
Okay.
So I didn't even imagine that as a woman or as a girl, I would take a decision. But after going to school and attaining my bachelor's, for example, and getting my job, I moved to level 2.
You moved to level 2.
And I moved to level 2 where I was able to decide what was good for me. And also because the community saw me as someone who had job and even with my family members. So I am still now in 2, but working towards the other ones.
Okay, very good example. Any interesting story to tell where you were in 10 years ago, where you were, and today where you are? Omar.
Okay, I was in step 2, and also I was young at the time. So there are decisions, small decisions that I can make.
For example, what sort of decision do you
related
make?
to selection of the school, which school is preferred to me, and even selection of certain classes, and so on. Small minor decisions. And now I think I'm in step 4, when I have my own family. When I started my own family, so I became responsible for decisions that I make. And I'm not in the step 5, because sometimes family issues cannot give you,
Right.
brand new doubt that you cannot go to that ability. So this is my
Okay.
story.
Anyone? Yes? Bismillah.
10 years ago, I marked myself on step 2. That's because in Afghanistan, when you are young and you are undergraduate at the time, so your parents will decide what to do and where to go and who to meet even and who to stay with. So these are all your parents decide for you. So at that time, I was on step 2, and as long as you grow and get experience and you pass tests, so your parents give you authority and you go on. So now I'm on step 4.
Okay. Yes, DJ.
In my case, I can say that there are two things in decisions. One is the professional career path, and the one is in home. Okay, so I'm sharing you home. So before 10 years, I think I was in step 4 to decide on my own life, to even get married or to have children or to buy a house or rent apartments, all these things. I had, not children, but before that. And then after getting married and the gender sensitiveness, come to effect, and then I'm not only one myself, and I'm with my wife. So every decisions in everything we have to have common consciousness to decide. So that's how I step down. Not I upgraded, but step down. So that is whenever you get more power, that gives you more less your state. So that's what my experience is.
Okay. Yes, sir.
For me, career was saying like what Sushila said. We are like living in a traditional society, so at that time you're under the control of your parents. So I was in the same situation. And for me, first I want to describe the power. For me, is two things. One is the power community that your parents have, that kind of thing, and the next part is for me power of money, financial power. So now I'm in step 5. So, but still I am like affected from those things which were
Cultures.
in step 2.
Yeah.
Still, it is based on traditional and cultural
Yes.
values.
One observation of mine with TJ, I think he has not gone down because he has shared the responsibilities. So he could have said the same instead of going down with his empowerment of making power decisions, right? He still makes the power decisions and he has the power to do it. He has the freedom to do it. It's not that he has lost that. If you lose it, then you come down.
But he may
Right.
lose it sometime. For example, if he's in step
That's-
4,
That
but
he has to, yeah.
his wife is saying no, emphasizing that no, I don't want this. Then don't you think that he has to make sound?
Then yes. Then yes. But
He's
then yes.
emphasizing no,
Yes, but-
without any concrete reason.
Okay, thank you.
He's going back to 3. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is the reality.
Yes.
Yeah, for me, some 10 years ago, my capacity to make decisions was small. It was number 2. I had various reasons for this. Like everything was decided by my company, my employers. There are paid promotions or I was able to change my situation. It was my company, and it was my family. I have my own family. My family decided many things. But after 10 years, I would like to where I am now. At the moment, I would say I'm at 4 or 5. Still like but at the moment, I have a grown-up family, so I can decide for myself. They decide for themselves. I have good connections, network, good people like ourselves. I have experience in the field of work, and due to these reasons, I can decide for myself. It's for someone else to decide for me.
Yes.
Yeah, 10 years ago plus, I started making some decision at the level of 2 because immediately when I finished with my graduation first degree, I started getting responsibilities of taking care of my brothers and sisters, taking care of the elderly family, my mother. And gradually I went to level 3 because I got additional promotion in the ladder. And so I was able to make decisions for people who are reporting to me. But then now I am in level 4 because I still have the ambition of going beyond level 4 to 5 at a situation where I am able to make decisions. I'm not going to work daily. I want to be at a level where I make decision for every decision. I make it myself without any power from the top. And that is my ambition, that there is still some level somewhere which I need to reach.
Okay.
And that's 5, right?
Yes.
That's fine.
That's
Okay. Yes.
10 years before, actually, I was in number 3. Actually, I was didn't know how to make money to meet up my financial security. The children were growing up. So I have to look after my children, my family. And I was still getting money. Now after say 10 years now, I can make some decisions. Still, I am obligated to the government. I am being government servant. I am obligated to government. So I cannot make go up to 5, but I can make a major decision now. like a decision I've taken to join this generation. Because before I was working for myself. Now I feel that I can contribute something to do with my academic. That's what I do now.
Okay, it's a takeaway message here that I would like to put you is, we have to do this sort of thing in a community to look at men's perspective differently and women's perspective. So if you look at the men's perspective, maybe they would say, I'm in 5, I've never was in 1, even they didn't go to school, even they didn't go for college, right? It could happen. So in a community, when you do empowerment, we need to find where the men belong to where the women are in this empowerment situation. Then we come up with a program saying, okay, this is what we need to do further. All right, that's a takeaway message. Is that clear? Is it different in your society with women that I see? Men, of course, men are still struggling with the financial, still not being free enough to decide everything. It happens. That's a society, that's a structure that we want to talk about in community change. Now we all know gender. As I said, some of you are a practitioner, some of you do have the knowledge about gender. I'm taking up this issue because this has been, maybe you can say we have borrowed or donors have said, no, from women in development, now it's gender. But still, we are talking about women. But there's some things that we need to talk about gender, and we have to be gender sensitive enough to tackle all the policies, all the business that we do in the community change. There's no discrimination. As Mahatma Gandhi says, there's no discrimination against any caste, class, or religion. That goes for men and women as well. So it's contemporary important aspect of politics, very important, because in political commitment, if there's no political will or commitment to have gender in appropriate position, like we say 50% today, we talk about that. In community participation, we encourage 50% women to come out no matter what. Could be active or passive role, doesn't matter. But political will is very important to address gender in a community change. If the leader said, the traditional says, no, women can't do this, and they're not allowed to do it, not allowed to participate, it's men's job, we will take it up. Then who will hear the voices of women? No one's going to, because they're not bothered to hear about the poorest of the poor voices or the disadvantaged group voices or the marginalized community. We cannot do that, being in a community. So it's an institutional practice. I'm sorry to say that I've worked in very big organizations, and I've led organizations to do gender-specific strategies to develop that, but not implemented. You know, when I go to a meeting, we have 6 women out here, or 7 women, I'm sorry, 7 women out here. I attended one climate change meeting, and I was the only woman in that. And the men said, oh, there's a gender representation. My voice is gender representation. What a thinking. Does that mean a women representing or me representing the climate change issue based on all the women on behalf of the country? What does it mean by that? So that's a notion we still carry, that gender means women. And our women can address the whole issue. It's not that. So institutionalization is very weak, no matter, either you are in US, because I used to work for US-based companies. They have gender strategies, but that empowerment is still lacking. The feminists believe in the patriarchal society. The movement started in the early 1948. That's how it started. Why not women be a part of the development? That was the debate. Theories said, why exclusion? We talked about socially exclusion and economically excluded groups. That means women were socially excluded groups in that community, and the movement started from US, actually, took this issue up. And political philosophers, Western political philosophers address the issues of gender and equality or equity. They took it up. I'm sure you all know what is gender. Yes. What is gender by your definition?
Gender is designation that this community can give just independent this respect and then tell that something. It's according to designation is given for
Okay. Any other? Yes.
I think gender could be a social construct around the value.
Okay. Yes. Fine.
Those responsibilities that within the society which is given to men and women that can be referred to cultural or social responsibilities to a gender.
So I'm sure you have studied. It's correct. The word genus, is the word gender comes from. It's a social, cultural, and psychological pattern differences between male and female. We are born male and female. Okay, we have a sex difference. But then our roles and responsibilities, as Maya mentioned, do differ. That is where we lack. We don't see whose role is it. When you do it, come into natural resource management, when you come into it, women does everything, collects the firewood, cooks food, she knows how to fetch water, where to fetch water. If something goes wrong, she will walk 4 hours. So now when the development institutions come in, they're not going to ask the women, what is your problem? They're going to ask the men, what's the problem? And they will never think that water fetching is a problem for women, or firewood is a problem, energy is a problem in that community. So these things happen, and for that, the role defines gender for both men and women.
Yes, excuse
Yes,
me,
ma'am.
about the psychological, because if we are saying we are born with something that comes to physiological, and some psychological aspects of being a man or a woman, that is nothing to do with the social and cultural. How we can define, yes, there would be some, the boundaries between, these are the issues that we came with, we don't have any control on it, and these are some aspects within the community. Just my concern is
Yeah, like
this.
for example, when I was teaching in their classes with gender, people were confused with psychological impression with transgender. How do we address? Now today they have eligibility to live like a human being. They are treated equally. But transgender earlier were not. Culturally, that was a taboo to be a lesbian, a gay, or a eunuch that's born in India, which is a man but born with a women intuition, right? It was not socially accepted. These things do matter. But today, in our context today, in a society, we find that, and we have to deal accordingly. It's a challenge with psychological.
Because some aspects are coming
Yes.
with us, some will be added.
Yes, it will be added on.
boundaries,
It will
yeah.
be added on. Definitely, it will be added on. Because it's easy. I don't know, Stephanie and Ashley and Zizel might tell us like the differences, the discrimination psychologically with the transgender, the acceptance in the society. Is it still, Micah, compared to us, I mean, where we come from in Africa, I don't know how it's in Africa with the transgender, the treatment.
Uganda is a good example.
How is it? Is it difficult for them to survive in the culture?
Because in some countries of Africa, there are laws
Yeah,
prohibiting completely.
it's impossible. What do you say like about the rights of these?
Well, in North America, as a whole, there's a segment of society that is definitely against any allowing any rights for people who are transgender. But as a whole, I would say maybe there is a better awareness, maybe not acceptance, but there's an awareness of it. In fact, as recently as last year, somebody had a sex change operation and has her own television program now. No, not that I believe in capitalizing on such things, but it has become less taboo.
Like North America.
In North America.
In North America. So I think there's extremes. People are either very against it or very for it. But socially, it's more acceptable to allow it as time goes by. There's more and more acceptance. So, for instance, this person, his name as a man was Bruce Jenner, and today people no longer call him Bruce Jenner. She is Kate.
Yeah.
Caitlyn Jenner. Yeah, I was going to say, she gave the last name. So,
He's actually a very beautiful woman.
pardon? Beautiful.
She's a very beautiful woman.
She is a woman now.
She is.
But she's a woman, and nobody calls her anything else. Nobody calls her man. Well, some people do, but that's the part that we were talking about, the polarity.
The difficulties in the community with this aspect to deal with transgender, because that's something that we need to see with awareness program. Yes, Martha.
In Africa, I don't know in other countries, but in my country, it is not something accepted socially because of the way people live in the past, the traditions and so on. And at some point, they even had to explain the law. And because they saw it was not something which was normal, actually, what is normal life? It's just about psychological.
Yeah.
So this law was passed by Parliament, and we had consequences from the side of Western world, to the extent that even the president was sanctioned. He wouldn't even receive any kind of due respect in some countries. I was told in some countries where I went. So, but when he came back to the country, he had to think about the law and called the parliamentarians to withdraw it and start sharing. So it's like it's not being implemented, but this group of people who have this right to practice whatever they have, they do it, but not openly.
Underground.
They find their hiding places where they can do it. And then also they have the support from the human rights activists, and these are the ones who have given them a lot of courage. But it's not easy for them to survive in the environment. And they are also very smart. They can beat security, and you hear they've done something. So this is still a challenge there.
I think with Nepal, we are very progressive in a way. At least we have a parliamentarian who is a gay. He's the chairman of the gay community. And now they've got the right for citizenship. All the lesbians and gays or transgender has a right to a citizenship. Yes, LGBTI. Under that law, that has been passed and with which we are grateful. But still, the knowledge is a gap. As you say, the awareness, the psychological treatment towards them, it's harsh.
It's just, again, when I think about this, whether to specifically address this issue under the diversities.
Yes.
Because when we have the topic of gender and diversities, shall we address it under that or directly under gender? Why I'm raising this? Because coming to a community-sensitive or conservative community like in Afghanistan, if you put the gender and you divide it like this, you will have more resistance and ignorance for this. And then there will be a debate on physiological and also aspect of control and non-control on the various aspects and consequences. That's why that still.
Yeah, so it's a gender and diversity. Okay, we have to, I mean,
respect
wherever
the diversity.
we are, we understand the relationship. So it's up to us to make sure that this is gender and diversity. Transgender is not something out of the box or something that we have picked out and say, okay, that's an outcast person. We cannot, because community has it. It's inbuilt, all right? Yes. So it is about, now, gender is about equitable growth, distribution. We have talked about access rights and everything, so I'll not go into that detail. But if we look at it, this is how we distinguish between the sex with male and female. Okay, the gender. This is what we address. So gender is a diversity with transgender as well, but biological term, we talk about the sex. Okay? There are various theories, especially the feminists came up with these theories, with the liberal feminism, 16th and 17th century, where women were empowered for equality and liberty. The Marxist feminist. We need to know this, what happened during those days with women when they fought for their rights, equality, and gender as well, for economic empowerment. We all know we have gone through those histories. Now, different approaches. We would see the first of the beginning with the feminist movement was women in development. It was seen apart. The development without a woman was not considered development. But then, the approaches were welfare, economic, equity approach, anti-poverty approach, efficiency approach, and empowerment approach. That's how it started. And as Zakir mentioned, the example was saving and credit. How to make women empowered is to economically sustain them, make them economically, they're able to earn something and keep the money to themselves. That was a challenge because men could not accept that. So those are some things that happened. And there are some other functions, formation of gender that took place as a functional approach, actionalist approach, conflict perspective, and looking at the feminist perspective. The roles varied accordingly. I don't want that.
Sushila, can you share this document with us?
Yes, it's going to be in the Guru site, of course. Now, the first thing is when we are in the community, the most important thing is to define the roles of men and women. And the element, the tool that we use, most of the organizations don't use it. They plan it. They do the plannings based on the overall, what we see, what we observe, how we see things happening in the community. But they would not align or see things based on the gender approaches. So this is a famous Harvard analytical tool, framework analysis, to look at men and women's role. Okay? It demonstrates the rational why women have incentive to the economics or not and all that. To map the work of men and women. So there's a guideline. We are going to put that in the website as well, in the Moodle, so you can have an access to that too. And if you want further information how to do it, please do contact me. I've done this many times when we do our project work. These are some outlines. Is first the activity profile, then we do the access and control profile. We have talked about that since yesterday with empowerment. What influences and what would be the cycle when we have gender-specific project? So this is just showing you the no, it's not, okay, sorry. Now to summarize it, just to summarize the change of gender and width, as I would would say it. Of course, in between was women and development also. Okay? With is the first word, WAD is the second word, gender is the third word. I call it donor's hoax. It came and everyone had to implement based on that. But now we are stuck with the gender. And of course now today, again, the word is women in environment development. Women and environment development, WED is the word. So it looks at the overall system as environment and development together. So these are some summary approaches and the differences we have with WID and GAD. Do you think there should be a potential transformation in any community when we work? I would say yes, because everything is dynamic now. We are challenging both men and women into that situation. And every woman doesn't have the same experience, nor the men. We come from different worlds. So we have, as a human being, have potential to do a change. That's where we can transform. Like psychologically, we say awareness is something with transgender. That acceptance is needed. Then slowly things will happen. In case of Nepal, I think we are progressive enough to do that. Slowly, other countries will take it up. India, they're still struggling. I know. India, what about in Arunachal with the transgender issues?
I haven't seen it.
It's a very rare
Where? But they're dealt okay with the society. No problem. Some analytically, where do we do the empowerment with gender? If you look at the structure of participation or leadership, normally it's the men. Fortunately, in Nepal, we have the president and the Supreme Court judge is the women. That's where we are very fortunate to have both the ladies, the first ladies, are women.
Parliament president also.
And the parliament cabinet,
Cabinet.
yeah, parliamentary spokesman, spokeswomen, I would say. Spokesperson is a women. So we have 3 in a leading position. It's rare, very rare. But then if we do the empowerment ladder with that power and freedom ladder, I think they will not go into fight because they don't decide anything. It's mostly decided by the 6 men, the top 6 men of the country. They will do anything, whatever the 6 men will tell them to do. That's the supreme leaders of my country. It happens. So power relations are very important among men and women to look at. Policies do guide us. The systems that we are into, ecosystems that we live in, and of course having an access to the resources. Another component of that needs is for gender, for an institution to look into is this framework analysis. Do we have political commitment? What sort of technical capacity we have to do gender work or mainstream gender in an organization? What's the accountability? Who has an accountability? Who does that? An organizational culture. What is it? He struggled. Nana struggled to be in 4 because he didn't have the capacity to decide. We all go through that phase. Okay? This is the organizational culture we respect. So that's a real, equality real. It's almost similar to what you will you have there in your Unstable Planet book as well. Where to do the empowerment, where to start, how to do it. With the organizational assessment, this is a very good tool to be used even in the community to look at the empowerment with gender equality really. So this is just a framework to guide you This will be in the movie site as well. The steps, how to do it. And that, we call it 9-box tool. This is where you got, Yasar and Zakir has done this tool with the institutions last time when they were here for the residential. When we have time, we can do this if you want to practice, to look at this scenario, to do the 9-box tool. But we'll see if we have time. So, when we have all these good things in the paper, we still have challenges ahead. Integrating, mainstreaming, is it integrating or mainstream? We have already integrated, but it has not been mainstream. Discrimination. Yes, we have addressed the issue of discrimination, but not implemented. People still feel discriminated. Coordination and communication, a biggest issue in an organization and environment. Who do we coordinate? How do we coordinate? Put everything in one basket and talk about it. Accounting for access and benefit sharing, a big issue. Nepal is also going to pass out the bill called Access and Benefit Sharing Bill to make sure that the traditional rights have been addressed and the benefits goes directly to this traditional people, all the indigenous people. For that sake, we are making a bill out of it, which is a big controversy for the moment. Inadequate. Now gender is there. As Dr. Taylor mentioned yesterday, now we are talking about social inclusion. It's no more gender. Gender is part of it, of the social inclusion perspective. So that is a challenge. And of course, meaningful participation. I said participation is not enough. Meaningful participation, they have to give a way out if they participate. So is it a failure? Has failed to deliver? Yes, because understanding and awareness is not the same throughout the world. In our communities, when we talk about women to be, example in India and Nepal, we have the women. When I was working in the first 86, I joined my job and I went to the lowland, the Tarai. And women used to come like that. And how am I supposed to talk to women with this scarf in front of her face? I have to take a permission from a husband or a brother or a father to go and talk to her. But that revolution, we call it parda, to remove that, just to put on the top of the head, with due respect to whatever who is coming in the house, that's a respect way. At least it has come off. But it took a long time. For us, it took a long time, maybe 10 years, for us to see that change. Today, the women can speak. They come to a meeting. Especially during this 10-year-long conflict, I would say, I was there in the Maoist territory, doing the interviews, and imagine 60 women turned out for my group interview. I was unable to handle. And there are 6 Maoist men in that one of the corner, sitting down and said, why are you asking those questions? And I said, what is the movement Maoists are doing? I said, aren't you fighting for the equality, the rights of these discriminated people? So why aren't you asking the women to speak? Then you speak. You don't speak on behalf of them. Let them speak to me. Because that is one thing that I appreciated, that women came out of their house to speak to us. Otherwise, I would never see 60 women in one group just to give an interview to a PhD student. It was a challenge. But that's a change. My contribution, at least to be in that war zone, is to see things happen. But discrimination, no. Fighting against discrimination, no. We still have discrimination against caste or class. You can see that. So addressing is a failure in the community empowerment. It's very essential that we see those things. They don't happen anymore. Okay, so I will not go through tomorrow's lecture plan because that's
Right?
That's today. And Micah had informed you all.
Mention abandon. Normally what was happening at the beginning that, okay, whatever comes from Western, okay, in Afghanistan, just to adopt it.
Yes.
Don't you think that it is the time, instead of abandoning or adopting, to adapt the issues based on the context of the country,
Yes.
to be in line with that?
Yes.
Instead of using abandoning, adapting?
I think Maya is very correct. When we come with lots of money and donors say somewhere it's been a success, but you cannot dump it in someone to take it out. It's a culture. It's our norms. We can adapt to it as much as we can, but we cannot say we'll take everything up to make the donors happy. That's our failure. That's why the projects fail. That's why mainstreaming is failing.
But the school of thought that two schools, one is saying abandon.
No,
This is a
you
question
don't.
to me.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, abandon, you can't do it because you have to struggle. It's a larger world. Can you say World Bank not to come to your place?
Mainstreaming, abandon.
Yeah. Can you abandon the project that World Bank comes with millions of dollars? No, but we have to ensure in our country to say, okay, you come, but do this for us. Not to abandon, but make them adapt to our own situation. All right? So just the last slide that I was showing with the eyes, that's a Buddha eye, we call it. It's a question mark. It's a very famous question mark with the eyes open, but you question yourself. Have we empowered everyone? Has the discrimination gone? Have we addressed those issues? What is still there, like abandon or adapt? What are we supposed to do? In a community, when you walk in, there are challenges. How do you perceive it? So it's a give and take relationship. At last, I would like to share one thing by my experience again in the jungle. 97, I started my work with wildlife as a consultant to prepare community management plan for the buffer zone. The night I arrived there, I stayed in a hut, the similar huts. The elephants raided in the night. It broke down the house. And I was in one of the cottages. And I was there to work with this community to deal with these human-wildlife conflicts. Okay? And in the morning, all the villagers came. Ma'am, now you know our pain, how we live. Because the elephants and everything comes and destroys everything. So now you know. I hope you understand our pain for you to support us. So that was a lesson learning. No matter I was a graduate from Norway or not, but if I have to work there, I have to live the way they are and feel their pain to be more active and say to donors, okay, this is what. If you want to save a tiger, please save these human beings first. Do something for them to save the tigers. So they love the tigers. Until today, when I go to that village, they say, oh, your elephants are booming. It's not my elephant. But they say, it's your elephants come to the night. Why did you leave us? I worked in that village for 7 years in the jungle. I loved my work, but then they all say, it's my elephant. It's not their elephant, but it's my elephant. From 3, I saw it growing up to 100 within 7 years. But that all came from India side. But they never went back to India. So that was a challenge. Okay? That's empowerment. So it was no problem if I had a master's degree, but I was able to contact or adapt to the situation. Knowing the people, knowing their problem, I was able to adapt. So that's how that empowered me to work with them in that area. Without light for 7 years. If it was not for the Maoists, there would not be light. So I would sit in the Lalchan, go to sleep at 7 o'clock, wake up 5 o'clock, go to work. So that's right. All the best, so we'll talk more. Okay? Thank you. Next question.